Hey there, this is the last post in my week 9 series on silly patents. The patent I wanted to discuss in this case is the multifunctional massage device, which in its description is basically a small vibrator for massage purposes that's attached on the other end to either something like a pen or a key ring or a perfume pen or a pointer. And according to the patent, the reason why someone would want this is because in the modern time, we don't really exercise as much as we do, so people experience a lot of physical pain in their body, and it would be nice to have something that can alleviate this pain as efficiently and quickly as possible. Now, kind of like sort of the old looking doll that smelled nice, I think this pen has some potential and there's definitely some thought and an idea behind it, but I'm not really sure how successful of a market it would create, and therefore not sure if this patent is really necessary. But what I actually wanted to discuss in this post is not as much about why this patent is silly, but more why it is that silly patents even get passed by the USPTO. So as we've talked previously, when it comes to utility patents, there need to be at least 3 conditions that have to be met. One is obviously utility or usefulness. This invention has to be practical and useful in some way. The second is novelty. It has to be new. And the third is non-obvious, which means that the invention has to be something that an ordinary person or a person of ordinary skill in the art could not come up with easily on their own. And if you look at all these silly patents, I think it satisfies most of these requirements. The usefulness is a little bit questionable, but I think there are definitely people out there who would buy something like this. I feel like for the massage pen, definitely somebody would want to use it, and therefore you could justify that it is useful. But even though that's the case, there are a lot of people who, if you told, hey, there's this patent out there about a pen that you can also use as a massager, a lot of people would sort of just laugh at you and scoff and go, why, that's so stupid, like why would someone want to do that? And I think, in a sense, this is sort of the fault of the patent system. I, in the past, have talked a lot about how patent requirements are extremely vague and how they are subjective and they're ambiguous, and that what we really need is a rigid checklist, and we need objectivity, and we need set standards and rules. But I see now that these silly patents are a result of the existing set standards and rules, because the patent examiners who passed and accepted these patent applications basically said, is it useful? Yes. Is it new? Yes. Is it non-obvious? Yes. And they checked everything off that checklist and passed the patent. And I think that's sort of the fault of the rigidity and objectivity, is if we had our patent system like that, we would have more silly patents than we already do. Not that we don't already have enough. There's actually an entire website on it. I would highly encourage you guys to check it out. But basically what I'm saying is it's very important to have a fine balance. We need to make sure that our requirements are defined enough such that it's not super subjective from one examiner to another. But at the same time, examiners should have the right to say, this patent is ridiculous, even though it checks off all of these requirements, I'm not going to pass it because there's no reason you should need it. And in that sense, subjectivity is important, and the patent examiner should have the right to say something like that. Furthermore, with that initial rejection, it could lead the patent applicant to tweak their invention and maybe rethink it through and think it through thoroughly, so that when they do come back, they have a compelling case for why it is they actually need the patent. So what do you guys think about objectivity and subjectivity? Or if you have another theory for why it is that we have so many silly patents in the patent system, please feel free to comment below. Thanks for listening.